Welcome to the Palo Alto Firewall course. In this course, you will learn step-by-step Palo Alto Firewall installation and management through the sample topology. Now let's take a look at what is in the content of our course. In the first part of our course, we will talk about the course content and Palo Alto certificates. In the second chapter, we will cover the installation and basic settings. In our first lesson, we will talk about our sample topology. In our second lesson, we will prepare for installation. In our third lesson, we will install the firewall. In our fourth lesson, I will explain how to set up Workstation Pro so that you can do labs at home or in the office. In our last lesson, we will make license entries and basic settings. In the third chapter, we will set the network and routing settings, creating a security zone in our first lesson, interface settings in our second lesson. In our third lesson, I will explain how to create a sub-interface. In our fourth lesson, we will talk about the interface management profile. In our fifth lesson, we will configure DHCP server and DHCP relay, and in the last lesson of this chapter, we will complete this section by covering static route. In the fourth chapter, we will introduce security policies and cover network address translate issues. In the first lesson of this chapter, we will introduce security policies. In our second lesson, we will cover dynamic NAT and PAT, source NAT in our third lesson, destination NAT in our fourth lesson. In our fifth lesson, we will cover application filtering and application control issues. In our next lesson we will cover SSL decryption, and in our last lesson, we will complete this section by talking about the use of tags. In the fifth chapter, we will cover the security profile and content ID issues. We will create an antivirus profile in our first lesson, anti-spyware in our second lesson, vulnerability profile in our third lesson, URL filtering in our fourth lesson, file blocking and data filtering in our fifth lesson. After that, we will cover the wildfire analysis topic, and in the last lesson of Section 5, we will finish this section by covering the zone protection and DOS topics. In the sixth chapter, we will cover authentication and VPN issues. In our first lesson, we will create an LDAP and authentication profile. In our second lesson, we will enable user identification. In our third lesson, we will talk about authentication portal. In our fourth lesson, I will explain how to get a certificate from a certificate authority. In our fifth lesson, we will create VPN zone and tunnel interface. In our sixth lesson, we will set the Global Protect Gateway and Portal. In our seventh lesson, we will cover the subject of Global Protect Portal SSL VPN access, and in our last lesson, we will finish this section by making IPsec site-to-site VPN. In the seventh chapter, we will cover device management issues. First we will cover panorama, then role-based administration, password recovery, backup, and restore. We will finish this chapter by covering PAN OS software updates and high availability, and we will have completed our course.